Hello and welcome. Today we are going to learn how we can run our Katalon Studio tests on a Linux system, and we will also see how to set up the Linux system, how to install all the required libraries on the Linux system. We will learn what is a Jenkins file, what is a Jenkinsfile pipeline script, how do we use Jenkinsfile and run a pipeline. We will then set up Docker on the Linux system, and then we will get our Katalon Studio Docker image, and then we will see how we can run our tests on a Katalon Docker container. And we will do this on the Linux system and also from the Jenkins job. So from a Jenkins job, I will show you how you can run the tests on a Katalon Docker container. And then finally, we will create a Jenkins file pipeline script, and there we are going to run our Katalon tests on a Docker container running on a Linux operating system. So this is going to be very easy and very interesting. I will show you all the process step by step, and I will share all the notes with you. Now, just in case you do not have a Linux system, I will show you how to set up a Linux system and connect to it. And in case you want to use a different operating system, you want to skip the Linux part and you want to learn the Jenkins file and how to run the Katalon tests on Docker container and Jenkins job, you can still follow this. However, in general, in real world, all this setup is done on Linux servers. So this setup is generally done by your IT team, and there will be a Linux server or a remote Linux or Ubuntu servers where all the setup will be done, and there will be a Jenkins setup on that system, and using the browser you can connect to the Jenkins instance and then you can create the jobs. So I'm going to show you the complete process step by step. So let's get started. And if you have any questions, if you get any issues, you can always let me know and I will try to help you as soon as I can. Let us go to the first step, that is we have to create and connect to a Linux system. Now, in case you already have some Linux system with you, you can continue with that and you can connect to the system. In case you do not have a Linux system, you can create a Linux system wherever you want to. You can search for it, or you can go to aws.amazon.com. Here you can create a free account. Now, when you create an account on AWS, it may ask you for your payment option or credit card details. You can give the details there. You will not get charged unless you go beyond the free tier limits. So if you stay within your free tier limits, you will not get charged. And once you create an account, you can log into your account, and I have logged into my account. And here I will go to services, and you will find EC2 either here or it is in my recently visited services. I will go here. So EC2 is Elastic Compute. So here we can create remote systems. So let me go to my dashboard and I will go to the instances. And I will click on launch instance. So here I will give some name. So I will say this is Linux machine 1. You can give any name here. And here I will select the operating system. So I'm going with the Amazon Linux here. So I'll select this, and then you can see this is a free tier eligible. If you stay within the free tier limits, it will be, you can just go with the free tier and you will not get charged. And here, instance type, you can see if you select T2 micro, which has 1 CPU and 1 GB memory, you will not get charged. It is a free tier eligible. But just for this demo, I'm going to go with T2 medium, which has 2 CPUs and 4 GB memory, so that it is faster during the demo and we do not have to wait for network or connections. So that's why I'm using this. But if you want, you can remain within the free tier. Now we have to create a key pair. This is required to connect using authentication. So I will say, I will give a name, Linux machine 1, and I will say create key pair, and it will create, and then we can download the file. So this is the PEM file that we can download to our system. And then using this file, we can connect to the Linux instance from our terminal or command prompt. So here I have downloaded this PEM file. Now here I have the security groups. So I'm just going with this allow SSH traffic, whatever is default here. Again, we have the storage. So it is 8 GB. I will just make it 12 GB so that I do not face any issues during the demo. And that's it. You can see all the summary here. So this is one instance. If you want, you can create multiple instances with the same settings. And this is the Amazon Linux operating system, T2 medium, and this is the volume size. So I will click on launch instance, and you can see the instance is getting launched. Now this can take a few minutes. So you can pause the video and you can check once your instance is up and running. I will go to view all instances. So I can see all my instances. And here you can see this Linux machine 1 is getting ready. So once it is ready, I will go to the next step. Okay, so you can see the machine is now up and running. And now I will connect to the system. So I will select this system, select this machine and click on connect. Now, when I click on connect, you can see it is saying that the key that we have, it should have the permissions 400. So this is the file that I have downloaded. I will go to this file. So I will go to my terminal. Now I am on my Mac operating system here. So I'm going to my terminal. If you are on Windows, you can go to your command prompt, or you can connect to the Linux instance by using any client that you have on your operating system. So you can search for what is the best client for your operating system. On a Mac machine, I can directly connect to a Linux instance using the terminal. So here I have my Linux machine 1.pem file here. So I will say, let me also check if I go to my folder and I will go to, yes, I have my file here. So it is on my folder Raghav. So I will say chmod 400 and this file. So I have changed the permissions. So this is done so that it should not be publicly available. It should not have permissions for all the users. Now to connect to the system, I will have to say SSH -i and give the location of the PM file. And I have to use this EC2 user. This is my user, and this is the public DNS or the IP of the system. So I will just copy this. Now, because I am on a folder where I have my Linux machine 1.pem file, so I can directly use this command to connect to the Linux system. So I will copy this and paste it here. And otherwise as well, if you want to manually type this command, you can say, so let us say, I will say SSH -i. And when I say LIN and press tab, you can see it is auto completing. There are other files as well with the same name. So it has stopped here. I will say MAC and again press tab, and it has auto completed the name. So this is a good way to check that you are using the right names and right syntax. I will copy the rest of the things and paste it here, and I will hit enter. So you can see it is connecting and it says, are you sure you want to continue connecting? I will say yes. And yes, it is connected. And you can see I am connected to my Amazon Linux system. Let me clear the screen. And if I say pwd to check the present working directory, I am here. If I say who am I to see my user, this is the EC2 user. I can also switch to a root user by saying sudo su -, but as of now, I will just continue with this EC2 user. I can say LSL to list all the contents of this directory. As of now, I don't have anything here. So I have connected to the Linux system. So now we have our Linux system connected. Now the first thing is I will need to install Java on the system, and this is required because we will be running Jenkins on this system. Jenkins is a pure Java application, so we will need Java for Jenkins. So let us first check if Java is already available. So we have connected to the Linux system. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is we have to check if Java is available by running the command java space hyphen version. And you see it says command not found. That means Java is not set up on the system. So to install Java, I can either use this command for Java 8 that will get Java from OpenJDK, or I can also get Java 11 using this Amazon Linux extras. Now, if you are using a Amazon Linux operating system, you can use this Amazon Linux extras for getting some of the libraries. So based on your Linux operating system, you can search and check how you can set up and install Java. So I will just copy this command. And before that, I also have to update all the current packages. So I will say sudo yum update, and this will update all the existing packages. I will say y, and it will update everything. And then our system will be ready to get new packages. So this is done. Let me clear my screen. And now I will say sudo yum install Java from OpenJDK. So I'm running this. All these commands, all the notes I will add in the description or the notes section of the video. So this will now get Java. And now I can say, I can check Java version. I will say Java space hyphen version. And you can see now here, we have got our Java 8 set up on the system. Now, in case you have multiple Java present on the system, you can use this command sudo alternatives config Java to select what version of Java you want to use. For example, let me also get Java 11 on this system by running this command. So it will get Java 11 as well. And I will say why it will install. And then, so this is done. I will clear the screen. And if I say Java space hyphen version, you can see it is still Java 8. But if I want to change, I can run this command sudo alternatives config Java. And you can see it will list out all the Java present on this system. And then you can select which one do you want to use. So enter to keep the current selection, or type the selection number. So if I want to use Java 11, I will say 2 and enter. But for now, I just want to continue with Java 8. So that's fine. I will say again, check Java space hyphen version, and I'm using Java 8 here. I will clear the screen. Now, we have done this, we have checked Java. So Java is now set up on the system. So we are done with Java setup. And then next topic is we will get Jenkins on our Linux system. So we already have done step number 1. We are connected to the Linux system. We have Java on the Linux system. Now we will again say sudo yum update to update all the packages. And everything is up to date. And then I will use this command sudo wget. Now, based on your Linux distribution, these commands may differ. For Amazon Linux, yum works and wget works. For some different distribution of Linux, you may be using apt-get to get something from online and download something and install the packages or libraries. So based on the distribution of Linux you are using, you can check online what are the commands you can use for downloading and installing. So I will just use this command. It will get the Jenkins repo downloaded on the system. And you can see this is done. And after this, I will use this command to import key file from Jenkins CI to enable the installation. And this is done. I will clear the screen. And then I have to say sudo yum install Jenkins. If you use the -y option, it will not ask you. Also, you must have observed that after I run the sudo yum install command, it waits for a user input to continue. So if I say -y, it will not wait. It will still it will directly continue. But I will just say here sudo yum install Jenkins, and let's see. And it will download, and before continuing it is asking me, is this okay? I will say why. So this will get the latest version of Jenkins and will install on the system. So this is done, and I will clear the screen. So now we have Jenkins on the system, and if you want to enable Jenkins service to start when the system starts, you can run this command. For now, I will leave this one and I will start Jenkins. I can start Jenkins using any of these commands: sudo systemctl start Jenkins or sudo service Jenkins start. I will say sudo service Jenkins start, and let's wait. If we get a message that everything is okay, we should have Jenkins running on this system. So yes, you can see we have got this message. Okay, so that means Jenkins is running on the system. And now we can connect to Jenkins. We can go to our browser on our local system, and then we can connect to Jenkins running on this Linux remote system by using the public IP or the DNS of the system. So I will say http:// the public DNS of this system : 8080. So 8080 is the default port where Jenkins start. We can change this port. I will show you this later. But for now, let me check. I will go to the browser. I will say http:// and here I have to use the IP of this system. So you can see the IP is this. I will copy the IP and I will go here and say 8080, and I will check if I'm able to connect. So looks like it is not connecting, and this may be because the port 8080 is not open on the system. So let me open the port. I will go to this system and go to the security groups. I will allow this 8080 port, and then once this is done, I should be able to access Jenkins from this system. And yes, you can see it is coming up. So yes, we have got our Jenkins here. So this Jenkins is running on this Linux system, and using the IP of the system, we are able to connect to this Jenkins instance from our local browser. So we have done this step. Now we have to get the admin password to continue, and we will get the admin password in the Jenkins folder. So on the Linux system, you can go to where lib Jenkins secrets and initial admin password. So I will say sudo cat, or let me just first go to the system. I will say cd where lib Jenkins, and here if I see the content, I will go to secrets folder. So it says permission denied. I cannot go to secrets folder as a EC2 user. So if I check who am I, I'm a EC2 user, but I can switch to a root user by saying sudo su hyphen, and now I am a root user. So now I will say cd where lib Jenkins secrets, and if I check the content, I have this initial admin password. To check the content of this file, I will say cat initial admin password, and this is the admin password. So I'll copy this and paste it here and say continue. And this will go to the next step. It is saying install suggested plugins. Now you can just install the suggested plugins, or if you want to select the plugins to install, you can click this. Now when you click select plugins to install, it will still have all the suggested plugins checked. And if you want, you can check or uncheck more plugins from there. So for now, I will just go with the install suggested plugins. And this will install all the suggested plugins. Based on the network and the speed, it may take some time. Okay, so this is done. And now I have gone to the page to create a first admin user. And this is optional. If you want, you can skip this. But then if you skip this, you will always have to use the admin user and use this password of the admin user. So it's better that I create a new admin user for myself. I will give the name. I will use a password, confirm the password, and give some email ID and say save and continue. And here we have got our Jenkins instance. I will say save and finish. And here Jenkins is ready and I can start using Jenkins. So if I click here, it will take me to the Jenkins dashboard. And here I can now start creating my jobs. So we have done the Jenkins setup. Now, if you want to stop Jenkins, you can run the command sudo service Jenkins stop. If you want to restart Jenkins, we can use the command sudo service Jenkins restart. And if you want to uninstall Jenkins, first stop the Jenkins by saying sudo service Jenkins stop, then sudo yum remove Jenkins and sudo remove the Jenkins folder. So this will remove Jenkins from the machine. So this is how we can set up Jenkins on a Linux operating system. Now, let us go to the next topic. We will install Git on our Linux system. Git will be required whenever we clone a Git repository either on the system or from Jenkins running on the system, we will require Git. So let us see how to set up Git on the system. I will clear the screen. And first I will check if Git is already available. I will say git space -- version and it says command not found. So I will first update all the packages by saying sudo yum update. And then I will say sudo yum install git. And this command will download and install Git on the system. And this is done. If I now say git space -- version, I'm getting the latest Git version. So this means Git is set up on the system. And if I say which Git, it will show me the location of Git on this system. So we are now done with Git installation on Linux operating system. Now, let us learn about Jenkinsfile. What is a Jenkinsfile? What does it do? How do we create a Jenkinsfile? Now, Jenkinsfile is also called as pipeline as a code. Basically, in Jenkinsfile, we can create a pipeline script and we can create the stages of our pipeline. So in general, in any project, you will have a build stage, a deploy stage, a test stage, and a release stage. So this is at a very, very high level. There can be some other sub stages as well, but generally we start with building of the project application, then we deploy to a test environment or QA servers, then we do the test, and then finally, if all the tests are passed, everything is okay, then we release the application or the project. Now, if I show you, if I go to any images, I will say Jenkins file pipeline, and I see some images here. You can see here, this is how a Jenkinsfile pipeline will look like. You can see these stages. We have a build stage, then a test stage, then some more test stages, approval, deployment. So this is how the pipeline looks like, and we can create this pipeline in a script using the Jenkins file, and therefore Jenkins file is called as pipeline as a code or pipeline as a script. We use scripting to create our pipeline, and we create all the stages in the file. So let us see how to do that. I will go to my Jenkins. So this is the Jenkins that is running on our Linux system, and we have already connected to this Jenkins. Now I will create a new job with type pipeline. And in case you do not see the option pipeline, you can get the pipeline plugin. Let me show you. When you go to your Jenkins, you can go to new item here. And then if you see this pipeline option, that means pipeline plugin is already installed. And if you have installed the suggested plugins, you will see this option. Just in case you do not find this option pipeline here, you can go to your Jenkins dashboard, go to manage Jenkins, and then go to manage plugins. Here in the manage plugins page or the plugins manager page, we have 4 sections: updates, available, installed, and advanced. So all the plugins that are already installed and the plugins which requires update or that have some update available will be shown here in the update section. The plugins which are not installed on your Jenkins and they are available to be installed will be shown here. So this is where you can find pipeline plugin and then click on the checkbox and say install without restart. But here I should be finding my pipeline plugin in the installed section because it is already installed for me. So you can see this is the plugin that is already available. In the advanced section, you can get the plugins from a plugins file, or you can set the proxy configuration. So all this you can do here. So I will now say, I will give the job name. I will say 1: Jenkinsfile demo. I'm adding this one, so I will know that this is the first job I have created. And I will now select the option pipeline here and say OK. So this will create the job and take me to the jobs configuration page. So I'm on the jobs configuration page. Here you can see 4 sections. We have general. Here you can see some general options. Then we have build triggers. How do you want to trigger this job? Do you want to trigger periodically? Do you want to set up some schedule, or you want to poll a source code management repository? And whenever there is a commit and push in the repository, if you want to trigger this job, all these options are here. Then we have some advanced project options. And then finally, we have a pipeline section. So this is what we will be using. So here we have done step number 3. Step number 4 is create or get Jenkins file in the pipeline section. So here I am in my pipeline section, and here you will see we have got 2 options in this drop down. We can select pipeline script, or we can get the pipeline script from a source code management repository. I will show you both the options. For now, let me select pipeline script, and I can create my pipeline script here in this box. Now, for the first time, I can use some sample. So I will say hello world here, and you can see it has created a demo pipeline script. And this is how a Jenkins file pipeline script looks like. We start with pipeline and a curly bracket start and stop. Then we can give the agent. If you want to run this on a specific agent, we can give the information here. Then we have the stages, curly bracket start and stop. And under stages, we have all our stages. So we can put the stage and then the steps of that stage. For example, here it says hello. So this stage is named hello. In the steps of this stage, we are printing hello world. Okay. So for now, let me just go with this. I will save this. I will say apply and save. And then this is saved. To run this job, I will click on build now. And you can see the first run is here. It is executing and it is done. And you can see the output here. So this is our stage view. We have a single stage called hello world. It took 181 milliseconds. And if you click here, you can also check the logs. In the logs, it is printing hello world. And if you want to go to the console output, you can click on this build. That is the first build. So go here and go to console output. You can see the console output of this job. So as of now, we just have this command to echo hello world, and it is running fine. Okay, so now I will go back to the project configuration or to the job configuration by going to this configure button. And if I want to add more stages, I can do that. I will just copy this. Let me expand this box. I will copy this stage and paste it 3 more times. So we have total 4 stages now. And let us say the first stage I will call as build. And I will just print hello build. This I will call as deploy. I will say hello deploy. This I will call as test, and I will say hello test. This I will call as release, and I will say hello release. And I will apply and save the job. And I will now build again, and let us see the output. So this has done the second run of this job, second build. And here you can see all these stages: build, deploy, test, and release. You can see the time taken. And this is at the top, you can see the average times. So as of now, there is a single run of this pipeline. And you can also see the logs from here. So all this you can check. And if I now build it again, you will see the third run of this pipeline. And you can see all this is running fine. So this is how we can create a Jenkins file, and we can run pipeline as a script using Jenkinsfile. Okay. Now, next is we will see how we can get the Jenkins file from a source code management repository and then run it in a Jenkins job. Okay. So here I can create a new job or use an existing job. So I will go to my dashboard, and you can see this is my first job, Jenkinsfile demo. And you can see there were 3 runs: last success, last duration, and you can also run it from here. I will now click on new item, and I will create a new job. I will say this is 2_ Jenkins file from SCM repository. And I will say pipeline and say OK. Now here I will go to the pipeline section, and this time from this drop down I will say pipeline script from SCM. And when I do this, you can see the first option we get is to select the SCM platform or tool. Now I'm getting Git. Git is installed. The Git plugin is installed when we select the suggested plugin. So I'm getting this option. Just in case you are using a different SCM tool, you can always go to manage Jenkins manage plugin and get the plugin for your SCM tool, and then it will be available in this drop down. So I will use Git, and I have to give a repository URL here. So let's say I will go to github.com. You can create a repository on GitHub or Bitbucket or anywhere you want. So you can create a free account on GitHub. I already have an account and I am logged into my account. I will create a new repository. I can click on this new button or go to this plus button drop down and create a new repository. So I'll go here and I will give a repository name. I will call this as Jenkinsfile demo. And you can give some description, which is optional. You can keep it public or private. If I keep it public, I do not have to use the credentials on Jenkins Job. Otherwise, if I keep it private, I will have to use credentials in my Jenkins Job for my GitHub account. And I will just create the repository. Now I will show you how you can actually put this all in a Katalon project, how you can push your Katalon project on a repository and then add a Jenkins file there. For now, I'm showing a very simple demo. And here, this is a repository created. This is the URL of the repository. And then I will say, I will create a new file. So this is going to be my Jenkins file. Now I can name it anything. I'm naming it Jenkins file for easy reference. Otherwise, the name does not matter. You can name it anything. And here in this file, I will add the Jenkinsfile pipeline script. So let me just copy this from my earlier job. I will go to my first job, go to configure. And I will copy this and put it here. So this is what I'm doing. This is my Jenkinsfile pipeline script, which has all these stages. And I will give some commit message and commit this file. So you can see in my repository, I have this file here and the branch is main. So now I can copy the URL of the repository. I can just copy from here, or if I go to code, I can copy it from here as well. I'll just copy this. And in my Jenkins job, I will give the repository URL here. Now, just in case you are using a private repository, you will have to add the credentials. And to add the credentials, you can either directly go from here, or you can go to Manage Jenkins. And you will see Manage Credentials here. And here, you can go to this Jenkins. And here, if I go here, I can click on Add Credentials. And I'm going to use username and password. So I will add the username of my GitHub account. And for the password, I will have to use a token. So I will have to go to my GitHub account and go to the settings, go to developer settings from here and go to personal access tokens and then generate a token here. So I think I already have some token that I can use. So this is the token I can use. So let me use this one. I will use this, and the description I will say GitHub credentials so that I can refer it easily. And you can keep the ID empty and say okay. And these are added. So now in my job, if I want, I can add these. So I will have to go to the job again. Let me save this and go back to the job configuration. Okay, so now I'll go back to the pipeline section. And here you will see I'm now getting the credentials. So I can add these. And then we have to give the branch. So the branch I have on my repository is main. I will change this to main. And then we have to give the script path or the Jenkins file path. Now, because my Jenkins file is under the main repository or the main folder, I can just go with this with the name of the file, which is Jenkins file. Or if you are having your file inside some subfolder, you will first have to give the folder name / your file name. So for now, I will just continue with this and say apply and save. And now I will click on build now and check. So this will get the details from the Jenkins file. And then, so you can see as of now, it is cloning the project, cloning the repository. And then based on the script we have in the Jenkins file, it is running our pipeline script. So you can see it is running all these stages: build, deploy, test, release, and everything is running fine. So this is how you can get the Jenkins file from a repository and run the pipeline script based on whatever you have scripted in your Jenkins file. Okay. Now, the next topic is we will see how to clone a SCM repository using Jenkins file. So in the earlier topic, we actually got the Jenkins file from the repository and we ran the job as per the details in the Jenkins file. But if you want to clone a repository using a Jenkins file, we have to add the command or add the step to clone the repository within the Jenkins file stage. So let us see how to do that. I will go to my Jenkins dashboard and create a new job. I will call this as 3: Jenkins file clone repository. Click on pipeline and say OK. And here I will go to the pipeline section, and here I will click on pipeline syntax. So here we can get some snippets generator, and you can see these are some samples here. So build a job, check out, delete directory, print a message, extend email, all these options are here. So I'm interested in Git. So I will select this, and you can see it is asking for the URL. Let me just copy the same repository URL here. And if I want, I can add the credentials as well. If it is a private repository, I can add the credentials. I have to select or give the branch here. And then I will say generate pipeline script. So you can see this is generated, and the script is Git and the branch, then the credentials. If you have credentials added, it will show you the credentials, and then the URL of the repository. So I can just copy it from here. So we have done all these steps. We have created the job. In the pipeline script section, we went to the pipeline syntax, selected Git, and then we generated the script and copied the script. Now I will copy this step and go back to my job. Go to the configuration page of the job. Go to the pipeline section. And here, let me just add a sample hello world. And here I can create a new stage. Now I can just copy this within this stage. I can just copy this like this command that I have copied, or I can create a new stage. I will call this as clone repository. And in the steps of this stage, I will add this command, the script that I have copied, and I can disable it or comment it out from here or delete from here. So I am doing this in a separate stage. I will say apply and save. And I will now say build now. And you can see we have two stages, hello and then clone repository. both are pass. If I check the logs of the clone repository stage, you can see it is cloning this repository and then it is putting it in the jobs folder, which is where live Jenkins workspace. And this is the job folder. So if I want to check, I can go on my Linux system and check this. So let me connect again to the Linux system. I will use this command to connect. And here, so it is disconnected from here. So yeah, it is connected here now. I will go to where lib Jenkins workspace. And if I check the contents, you can see all my jobs are here. So here I will say, I will go to this folder. And if I check the content of this folder, you can see it has cloned my repository. And in the repository, I just have a single file, that is Jenkins file. If I want, I can check the content of the Jenkins file. And yes, you can see this is my Jenkins file here. Okay. So with this, we are able to clone a SCM repository using Jenkinsfile. Okay, I'll go back to my dashboard. And now I have 3 jobs on my Jenkins. So we have done this process and this topic. Next is we will learn how to set up and install Docker on this Linux operating system. So the first thing I will do is, let me clear everything and let me go to the parent directory. Now, to check if Docker is there, I will run the command docker space -v, and it says Docker command not found. So that means Docker is not there. And I will first update all the packages. I will say sudo yum update. And everything is up to date now. And now I will use this command. Now, because this is a Amazon Linux, I can use this command. But in your case, if you are using a different Linux operating system, you can always go and check. You can say get Docker on Linux, and it will take you to this links. And you can check here, you can check your Linux operating system, and based on that, you can use the commands. So based on the operating system or the distribution of Linux you are using, you can run the commands. So you can see here, we have all these different packages and platforms, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora. Based on what you are using, you can select from here, and then you can get the commands from here. Okay. So you can see all the different commands. Okay. So for me, I can directly use this command. So this will download and set up Linux Docker on this Linux operating system. I will say Y, and it will get the Docker engine. And now if I say Docker space -v, I'm getting the version of Docker. And if I say Docker images to check the Docker images, I do not have any Docker, and it says cannot connect to Docker daemon. That means Docker is not running as of now. Docker is installed, but not yet running. So we have done this, and these are some extra information in case you get this Amazon Linux extras command not found, then you can first install this using this command. And then if you see all this, you can again run these commands. So this is optional. I will have all these notes and commands added in the notes or description section. Now to start Docker, we have to use this command sudo service docker start. So let me clear this. I will say sudo service docker start, and it will start Docker. If I now check Docker info, I'm still not able to get this. It says permission denied. So maybe I will have to use a different user or get the permissions. So this is optional. If you want to start Docker daemon, or whenever the system starts, you can add this command. And this is you can use if you want to run the Docker commands without using sudo. So you can also add your EC2 user to the Docker user group. Now, if you get permission denied, you can create a Docker group. I will do this. It says it already exists. So I will just add my user. So to get what is my user, I can just say echo $user. So I have the EC2 user. I am the EC2 user. So I can just say sudo user mode ag docker and add this user. Okay. Now I will reconnect to Linux system. So I will press Control-C, or I will say exit. And then I will reconnect to the system. And now, so I am the EC2 user. If I now say Docker info, and yes, I'm getting the details. That means now I can connect to Docker and the Docker engine or daemon is running. So you can see as of now, I don't have any containers and I don't have any images. So now if I run the command Docker images, this will show me all the images. As of now, I don't have any. If I say Docker PS, it will show me all the running containers and nothing is running. If I want to see all the containers, whether running or not, I can say Docker PS -a. And as of now, I don't have anything. So let us now get the hello world image. And you can also check the Docker hub where we have all the Docker images. And here, if I search for hello world image, you will find a hello world image here. If I search for Katalon image, there's a Katalon image here. So I will get the hello world image just to check if everything is fine. So this is the hello world image. I can use this Docker pull hello world. So I will do this. I can directly say Docker run hello world. It will do the pull and then start the container using the image, but I will first just pull the image. And now if I run the command, I'm pressing the top arrow on my keyboard to go to the earlier commands I have executed. If I say Docker images, you can see hello world is here. And now I can say Docker run and the image name, that is hello world. And you can see hello from Docker. This message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. So this is all fine now. And if you want to run an image and also create a container and connect to the container, you can use the -it option. So you can see this will create the Ubuntu, this will get the Ubuntu image, create the container from the image, and then will also take you inside that container. So you will be actually inside that container and you can run your command. So you can use the -it option as well. Now, everything is fine. I can also now check Docker images. I can say Docker PS. There's no container running. If I say Docker PS -a to check all the containers, you can see the hello world container is there. And it is in exited status. So we are now ready with Docker. If you want to stop Docker, you can say sudo service docker stop. And to remove Docker, we can say sudo yum remove Docker. And we have already checked all these commands. Docker images, this is images, Docker PS -a. So with this, we are ready with our Docker on our Linux operating system. Now, next is using Docker, we will get the Katalon Studio image, and then we will try to run a Katalon test on the Docker image. And before we do that, we should also be having our Katalon project here. Now, an easier way to do that is to clone the project directly on this system, on this Linux system, or to get it from a Jenkins Job. So let me first go to my Katalon Studio here, and I will create a new project. I will say new and go to project. I will say this is demo project 1, and I'll just store this project on my E drive under projects and Katalon folder, and I will say okay. I will not connect to desktops for now. And I have got this project created. Now I will very quickly create a test case. I will call this as test 1. And I can do a very quick recording. So let's say I will go to this, try testing this application. And here there is a login section. So I can go to this login section and create a login test. So I will click on record web, and I will copy this URL here and start recording. I can also see the steps recorded. So as of now, it has recorded open browser and navigate to URL. And now I will go to the login section here. I will give the username test, password test, and click on login. And I want to check this message. So I will do a right click here, go to Katalon Studio and say verify element text. And it is verifying here. I will now stop and save the script. And this is saved. I will now add it to a test suite. I will create a new test suite. I will say this is suite 1. And I will add this test case here. And I will run and check if everything is working fine. So I will run this suite. So this is all working fine. Now I will have to upload this project or commit this project to a repository. So I can create a repository on my GitHub. I will create a new repository. So you can create a repository on GitHub, Bitbucket, or any online repository system. I will say Katalon demo project, and I will keep it public. And create the repository. And now I will copy the link of the repository. And I will go back to my Katalon Studio. And first I will share this project on Git. So here is the Git icon. In case it is disabled, you can go to Window, Katalon Studio Preferences, Katalon, and go to Git and enable it from here. By default, it is already enabled. So I will go here and say share project. So now this project is tracked by Git. Then I will say commit. Before committing, you can also see the .gitignore file. So all the files, folders that you don't want to be committed to the online repository, you can put them here. By default, it already has reports, library, class path, .project. So I will keep it as it is. And I will say commit. And I have got this Git staging section. I will select everything in the unstaged changes section by pressing Control A on my keyboard and drag and drop them to the staged changes. I will say this is my first commit. This is the commit message. And I will say commit and push. So I will copy the URL of the GitHub repository, and you will also have to add your GitHub credentials. So this is my username and the token, and I will say next. So this will go to the master branch, next, and finish. If I now refresh my repository on GitHub, you can see we have got our entire project here. So now I can clone this on my Linux system. I can directly use the git commands here, or I can just go to the Jenkins that is running on this Linux system, and I will create a new job, and I will call this as clone Katalon project from SCM. Now, if you want, you can do this from a pipeline script. We have already seen how to do this from a pipeline script, or you can, for cloning, I can do it as a freestyle project as well. So I will keep it as a freestyle for now. And I will go to source code management section. And here I will say git and give the repository URL. I can add the credentials, or even if I do not do that, that's fine because it's a public repository, and master branch, and I will say apply and save. If I now click on build now, it will clone the repository in the project folder in the Linux system. So if I check the console output of the first run, you can see it has cloned this repository here. If I want to check on my system, I can say here, I may have to connect to it again. So I will say here, cd where lib Jenkins workspace. And if I see the content, I will go to this folder. And if I check the content of this folder, you can see our project is cloned here. So now I can use this project folder to run the Docker commands. So we have got the project here. So now this is the Docker command that we run. You can also check if I just search for Katalon Docker. You can see the links here. So you can see this Katalon Docker image, all these options here. This we have already done. Let me check if we have done this. If I see Docker images, we don't have the Katalon Docker image yet, so we will do that. And you can see all these Docker commands here. So these are the general commands. So I will first get the Katalon Docker image. So I will say that Docker pull Katalon Studio Katalon. You can also check this on the Docker Hub. If I search for Katalon, this is the Katalon Studio image. And this image contains everything. It has all the browsers, all the settings. So we just need to get this image, and then we can run our Katalon tests on this Docker image. So I will copy this command, Docker pull Katalon Studio Katalon, and I will run this. So this will download the image from Docker Hub. And once we have the image added, we will then run our Docker commands to run the Katalon tests. So based on the network and based on the speed, this can take some time. And the command that we have, that is Docker run, this part of the command is common. You can just use this part, and the rest of the things you can just copy from your Katalon Studio command. I will show you that in a moment. So this is done. If I now check Docker images, we have got the Katalon Studio image. And then the next step is we will first go to the project folder where our Katalon project is, and I am already in this folder where I have my Katalon project. And then we are doing this because here we are using $pwd, that is present working directory. So it is assuming that our project is on the same directory where we are running this command. Just in case you are in some other directory, you will have to then give the location of your project directory here. And here, these options remain same until here. And from here, you can give your options based on your project and test suite. And you can also get it from your Katalon Studio. In your Katalon Studio, you can click on this build CMD icon and select your test suite from here. It will also give your API key, which is fine. And you can click on generate command, and you can just copy from retry. This part you can copy from here and add it or append it to this command. So you can see this part remains common. And then I will just append these options: retry count 0, test suite path, test suite 1, browser type, execution profile, and the API key. And this is what I will run. So I will clear my screen and I will copy this command. Now, when you are copying this command from a notepad or from some other file or text editor, make sure that these quotes are coming properly. Sometimes these quotes are not coming properly and therefore there is a failure. So you can either retype the command or retype the quotes. And I will try this. I will hit enter and let us check if it runs our Katalon tests. And yes, it is activating the licenses. Based on our API key, it will check, do you have the licenses or not? And yes, it is now checking the Chrome drivers, and it is running our test. And yes, you can see it is running all our test steps, and it is now done. So if you see here, all these steps that we have added in our test, it is running this: open browser, then we have navigate to URL, set text, it is setting test in the username, test in the password, then click on the login button, and then it is verifying login successful. So everything is running fine, and we are able to run our Katalon tests on a Docker container. So even if this Docker container is available on a different operating system, the commands and the process remain same. Once you have Docker, you can just get the Katalon Studio image and run this command. Okay. So we are now able to run our Katalon Studio on a Docker container. And you can see the advantage here. Our Katalon Docker container had everything, all the browsers, all the setup. We did not have to do any kind of setup of Katalon Studio. We just have to get the Katalon Studio Docker image and run our tests. We can also now run the same command that is running Katalon Studio tests on a Docker container from a Jenkins job. So let us try that. I will just copy this command again. This is the command I want to run from a Jenkins job. So I will go to my Jenkins dashboard. I already have 4 jobs. I will create a new job, and I will say 5, and I will say Katalon tests on Docker. I can create a freestyle project for now. I will also show you how to do this from a Jenkinsfile pipeline script. As of now, I'm creating a freestyle project. And here, I will get the project from the repository URL. So I'll just copy the URL of this project repository and go to source code management and give the repository here. I can give the credentials or leave it blank because it is public. This is my branch. And now I will go to the build section and Because this is running on a Linux system, I will say execute shell. If it is running on a Windows system, I will say execute Windows batch command. So I will say execute shell here, and I'll just copy this Docker command. And I know this command works because I have already checked this by running directly on the system. I can also run some other commands before this, whoami pwd, just to check the present working directory. And I will say apply and save. So we have got our project ready, and now I will run this. So let us click on build now. And there is a error if I go to the console output. So here it is able to clone the repository, and I can check that on the system as well. If I go back and I go to the folder, this folder, so it is able to clone my project here. So cloning is working fine, but then while running the Docker command, it is saying permission denied. So if you are getting permission denied, you will have to add the Docker user to the Jenkins group by running this command. So I will do this. And after this, we will also have to restart Jenkins. So I will say sudo service Jenkins restart. So after this, we should not be getting the permission denied issue. So let's wait for the Jenkins to be up, and it is up. Now I will go back to the project. I will have to sign in because it is restarted. And now I will click on build now again. So this will be the second build of this job. If I check the console output, you can see it is now running the Docker command, and looks like it is running now. It is setting up the container. And yes, it is running. It is starting our test. So it is running our test here. And yes, everything is running fine. And this is done. It has exited the container and everything is fine. So now we are able to run our Katalon tests on a Docker container running from a Jenkins job. Okay, so this is done. Now, next, let us see how to run this using Jenkinsfile Pipeline script. So I will now create a new Jenkins job of type pipeline. So let me go to my dashboard. I will create a new item or a new job. I will say Jenkinsfile. I will say run Katalon tests on Docker. And I will say pipeline here and say OK. So we have got this job created. And now here, I will go directly to the pipeline. I do not have to go to GitHub. I can directly go to pipeline. And here, I will add the pipeline script. So here I have to add the script, the Jenkinsfile pipeline script. So this is the script I will add. I have copied this here. And if you see here, let me just copy it and first paste it here. So there are some errors here. Let me see. Yeah, this one is fine. So here, the first thing we are doing here is, this is our pipeline script. And here we have the stages. In the first stage, we will get the project from Git. And here I can just print cloning project from SCM. I can say get project from SCM. It can be any tool. And here I will give my branch and the URL. And this we can also get from the snippets. We have seen that earlier. So in this job, Jenkinsfile clone repository, we have seen how we can get the snippet. And it is a very simple snippet. We just say git branch master and the URL. So the URL of the repository is this. I'll just add the URL here. Then we have a test stage. So this stage will clone the repository in the project folder. Then in the test stage, we are going to our project folder. So let me copy the name of the folder. And then we are running this Docker command. So this is the same command. If I want, I can just copy it from here. This is the command. So I will copy this command. So this is our Docker command. So we say sh and then the command. And then there is also a post step where we are archiving the reports. So this is the reports path. Whenever there is a folder with dynamic name like a timestamp, we can say star here. So if you see, when I go to the reports folder, so the reports folder has a folder with a timestamp as name. So I can put star here, then I go to suite one, then again there is a folder or the report which is having the name as dynamic timestamp. So therefore we are saying here reports, then star, then suite one, then star, then inside that we will have a XML report. So it can get the JUnit report from there, and then we are getting the artifacts. So this is what we are doing here. I will copy and also paste it here so that it will be present in the notes. And now I will save and I will run this job. So you can see first it is getting the project from SCM, and now it is running our test. If I check the logs of the test execution, you can see as of now it is running the Docker command. It has created the container and it is now running our test. And yes, you can see the test is under execution. If I see the latest commands, our test is executed. So you can see our test is executed, and now everything is passed. And then we also have got our artifacts downloaded. So we can also get our artifacts like this because we have added this in the post section. Okay, so this is how we can now run the Jenkins file, which has the pipeline script to get our project, our Katalon Studio project from the repository, and then run the tests on a Docker container. Okay, and then this can then be added. So this pipeline script that we have now, this can be added to our project Jenkins file or the project pipeline script. So it may be having other stages for building, deploying, releasing. In that, we can also now add these stages that will run our Katalon Studio jobs, Katalon Studio tests on a Docker container. Okay. Now we can also, as of now, we are having this here. If I want, I can put this Jenkins file within the project. So I will go to my project. I will go to the folder of my project. This is my folder. I will go to the system and manually go to the folder location. And here I can create a new file, and I will call this as Jenkinsfile. You can do it directly from the repository as well. You can go here and we can add a file from here, and then we can pull it here, or you can do it this way. Let me just do it the other way. I will delete it from here. I will just go to my repository and say create new file. I will call this as Jenkinsfile, and I will add this Jenkinsfile pipeline script here. Now, because it is already in the SCM, I will not have to clone it again. So I can just comment this cloning part. I'll just say this is hello. I don't need this stage now because it is already present in the repository, this Jenkins file. And here, I will create a new job first on my Jenkins so that I can give the location of the folder. I will say this is 7th. Run Jenkins file from SCM and then run on Katalon Docker Container. Or I can say this is Jenkins. Yeah, this is fine. Run Jenkins file from SCM and then use the Katalon Docker Container. I will say this is pipeline and say OK. And because I have to run here on this folder, I'll just give this name here. The command remains same. And I will commit this. So we have got the Jenkins file here. And if I want it here on my project, I can just pull it from the repository. I will say git pull. And you can see added Jenkins file is here. I will say OK. And if I now refresh my project, you will see we have got the Jenkins file here. So if I want, I can make the changes from here as well and then commit and push the changes directly from the project. And now on my job, I will go to pipeline and say pipeline script from SCM. Select the SCM tool as Git. Give the repository URL and the branch is master. So this is fine. And the file name is Jenkins file and it is within the main folder. So I can continue with Jenkins file and apply and save. And then I will say build now. And you can see it has started. So first it is checking out the repository, then the hello stage, and then it is running the test stage. If I check the logs of the test stage, you can see it is running our Docker command and it is creating the container, activating the licenses. And it has started our test. You can see open browser, and then it is navigating to URL, setting test, text in username and password. So this looks like this will run fine. And yes, it is all fine. And you can see everything is running fine. We have also got all our artifacts here. So we are now able to run our Katalon tests from a Jenkins file running on a Docker container. So we have done all these. We learned how to create a Linux operating system, how to generate, set up and connect to the Linux system, how to install Java on the Linux system, how to install Jenkins, how to install Git. And then we have looked into Jenkins file. What is a Jenkins file? How do we create a Jenkins file? How do we create the Jenkins file pipeline script and then run the stages? We looked at how to install Docker on Linux system. and then how to get the Katalon Docker image, and then how do we run our Katalon tests on the Docker image on the Linux system, and then from a Jenkins job, and then from a Jenkinsfile pipeline. And also we can get this pipeline, we can put this Jenkins file within the project repository and then run it directly from the project repository. So all this we have done. I hope this was very useful for you. If you have any questions, you can let me know, and please do some hands-on, and I hope this will help you a lot. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.